The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of the courthouse, casting long and steady shadows across the polished wooden floors. It was a place where stories often met their final punctuation marks, a theater of reality where the complexities of human relationships were laid bare before the watchful eyes of the law. Isaac Thompson stood behind the mahogany podium, his fingers lightly brushing the edge of the smooth wood. Beside him stood Kendall Ruiz, the woman who shared his life, his home, and the heavy responsibility of raising a young son with special needs. They were there with a common purpose, seeking a resolution to a conflict that had simmered for over a year. On the other side of the aisle sat Donna Schultz. She was a significant figure from Isaac's past, the mother of his first child, and now the defendant in a case that felt more like a family tragedy than a mere financial dispute. The air in the room was thick with the history of these three individuals, a history woven with threads of shared parenting, past romances, and a 2016 Jeep Renegade that had become the unlikely catalyst for their confrontation. The bailiff called the court to order with a voice that echoed authority. The small audience in the gallery rose in unison as Judge Judy Justice entered the room. She was a woman of formidable presence, known for her sharp wit and her uncanny ability to peel away the layers of story until the absolute truth remained. As she took her seat behind the bench, she looked down at the case file before her. Case number 3025, Ruiz Thompson versus Schultz, the judge announced. Her eyes moved from the paper to the people standing before her. She began by addressing Kendall Ruiz, seeking to establish the foundation of the relationship that bound the plaintiffs together. Ms. Ruiz, this is your boyfriend, the judge stated, gesturing toward Isaac. How long have you been together with him? Kendall took a breath, her voice steady but soft. It has been on and off for about 2.5 years. Your Honor. The judge nodded, her pen moving across a notepad. And you have a child together? We do, Kendall replied. He turned 1 in January. The inquiry continued, delving into the living arrangements and the history of Isaac's previous relationship with Donna. It was revealed that while Isaac and Kendall had lived together for most of their relationship, there was a period 3.5 years ago when Isaac shared a home with Donna. Together, they had a son who would be turning 4 in August. Isaac confirmed that he saw his older son every week or every other week, maintaining a presence in the boy's life. Very good, the judge remarked, shifting her focus to the mechanical center of the dispute. Now, when you were with her 3.5 years ago, you had a car, and that car was a 2016 Jeep Renegade, correct? Correct, Your Honor, Isaac replied. The judge leaned forward, her interest piqued. In whose name was that car? The vehicle is in mine, and Kendall's name, Isaac explained. He clarified that the purchase had been made on April 6, 2021, a time when he and Kendall were first building their life together. However, life had its complications. In December of 2021, Isaac and Kendall experienced a breakup. Isaac moved back into his parents' house and took the Jeep with him. During this period of separation, Kendall had acquired a new vehicle for herself. It was agreed that Isaac would keep the Jeep and continue making the monthly payments, which amounted to $367. But Isaac soon found himself in a financial bind. He could no longer afford the monthly payments on the Jeep. Because he already had access to another vehicle at the time and knew that Donna was in desperate need of transportation to drive their son around, he reached out to her with a proposal. I offered her the deal that if she were able to put the vehicle in her name and keep insurance on it, she was able to have the vehicle, Isaac told the court. But he admitted that the plan was flawed from the beginning. She did not follow any of the rules for the agreement. The judge intervened with a lesson in contract law. Well, she cannot register the car in her name, sir, because there's a loan out on the car, and they are not going to allow somebody off the hook. The bank would not simply remove Isaac and Kendall from the loan and replace them with Donna. As far as the lending institution was concerned, Donna was a stranger to the contract. The only way she could have gained the title was by paying off the loan entirely. The judge looked at the title documents Isaac had provided. She pointed out that the bank held the lien, making it impossible for Donna to be the legal owner. In effect, the agreement was simply that Donna could use the car as long as she made the payments and maintained insurance. By January of 2022, Isaac and Kendall had reconciled. They were living together again, yet the Jeep remained in Donna's possession. For a few months, the arrangement seemed to function, albeit poorly. Donna made the payments for January and February, though Isaac noted they were late, which began to negatively affect his credit score. By March, the situation worsened, and by April, the payments stopped altogether. More importantly, the issue of insurance became a major point of contention. Isaac claimed that he had asked for the car back multiple times because Donna had failed to provide proof of insurance. I was asking for the vehicle back shortly after giving it to her because she was not holding up her end of the agreement, Isaac testified. The judge turned her attention to Donna, who had been quiet until this moment. "How long did you have the car?" she asked. "Until April," Donna replied. She insisted that she had made the payments for January, February, and March. The judge looked back at Isaac. She sensed there was more to the story than just missed payments and lack of insurance. She turned her gaze to Kendall Ruiz. "I assume that your girlfriend, Ms. Ruiz, did not like the fact that your old girlfriend had the car that was titled partially in her name," the judge said to Isaac. "You do not have to be a soothsayer or have an advanced degree in psychology to know that your current girlfriend and the mother of your new baby does not like the fact that you gave a car that is in her name to your old girlfriend. You do not have to be a genius to figure that out, right?" "You are right," Isaac admitted, dropping his gaze for a moment. The narrative of the courtroom shifted to the psychological reality of the situation. Kendall, however, stood her ground. She explained to the judge that she was a 24-hour caregiver for their son, who lived with a disability. She claimed that she had not been upset about Donna having the car because she understood the need for their other son to have transportation. Her concern, she insisted, was the legal and financial responsibility tied to her name. The core of the lawsuit rested on what happened in late April. On April 25, 2022, Donna was involved in an accident while driving the Jeep. She hit another woman's vehicle. Because her insurance had lapsed while she was searching for a more affordable policy, there was no coverage for the damage. The judge examined a police report which suggested some deception on Donna's part. The report indicated that Donna had claimed the accident happened on May 3rd, the very day Isaac and Kendall finally involved the police to recover the vehicle. The officer noted that he felt Donna was being deceptive about when she had contacted the authorities. "You know, there is a saying, the judge told Donna, if you tell the truth, you do not have to have a good memory." The damage to the Jeep was significant. While the visible damage was mostly to the bumper, Isaac claimed there was underlying damage that made the car undrivable, including issues with the transmission and the oil system. He presented an estimate for repairs totaling $6,000. The judge then turned her critique back to Isaac. She questioned his decision to drop his own insurance on the vehicle, relying solely on Donna's word that she had covered it. "You signed an agreement with a bank that you would keep insurance on this car because the car really belonged to them until it was paid off," the judge lectured. "And you did not." Isaac admitted his mistake. He had trusted Donna to protect the asset that his name was attached to, but in doing so, he had breached his own contract with the bank. He had been continuing to make payments on a car that had been sitting in his parents' driveway, useless and broken, for an entire year. Legally, the situation was a tangle of breached agreements. Donna had breached her promise to Isaac to pay and insure the car. Isaac had breached his promise to the bank to keep the vehicle insured. The judge looked at the three people before her. She saw a man who tried to do a favor for the mother of his child, but did so in a way that ignored his legal obligations. She saw a woman who accepted a responsibility she could not fulfill, and then failed to protect the property of others. And she saw a woman in the middle, Kendall, whose credit and peace of mind had been caught in the crossfire. This was not just about a car, the judge mused. It was about the fundamental nature of contracts. You cannot simply hand off a legal responsibility to a third party and expect the original creditor to care. Whether it's a car loan, a mortgage, or a lease, the person whose name is on the paper is the person held accountable. "I tried numerous times to get the car back," Isaac pleaded. "She refused to give it to me." Donna shook her head, claiming she knew nothing of his desire to have the vehicle back until the police were involved. The judge made her decision. She recognized that while Isaac was partially at fault for his negligence regarding the bank's requirements, Donna was a direct cause of the physical damage and had failed to maintain the insurance she promised. $3,000, judgment for plaintiff, the judge announced firmly. As the gavel struck, the tension in the room began to dissipate, replaced by the somber reality of the lesson learned. The parties exited the courtroom, each carrying their own perspective on the outcome. In the hallway, Isaac sighed. I guess lesson learned from not trying to help people out, right? It is a little upsetting. I think she is definitely 100% in the wrong. She lied to us numerous times. Kendall looked at the floor, thinking of the year the car had spent sitting in the driveway, a silent monument to a bad decision. It is inoperable, she said quietly, and she told us multiple times she would pay and fix the damage. And now here we are. Donna, walking toward the exit, felt the weight of the judgment. I do not think that I should have paid anything at all, she muttered to herself. It is upsetting how it turned out. I am never going to help him out ever again. I am worried about my own self. The story of the Jeep Renegade ended not with a high-speed chase or a grand triumph, but with a quiet understanding of the rules that govern a civil society. It was a reminder that kindness must be tempered with wisdom, and that a signature on a contract is a bond that cannot be easily cast aside. As the courthouse doors closed behind them, the three went their separate ways, leaving the 2016 Jeep behind as a chapter of their lives that was finally, legally closed. The judge's words remained echoing in the halls, a final piece of advice for anyone listening. As between you and the company, you have a responsibility. It was a simple truth, one that cost $3,000 to fully understand.